going on, guys? 8-Bit Glitch 79 here, and welcome to this year's 12 Nostalgic Days of Christmas. Can't believe I'm doing this again, but I had a great response last year, and when people were asking if I was doing it this year, or when I finally announced it, I got a resounding response back that everybody was so thrilled I was doing it. So I have to do it, and I'm going to try to do it every year for as long as I'm on this platform, and I'm always looking for help to get through it because it's a lot of work. So I reached out to a lot of people out there in the community to give some of their nostalgic stories to have on this series, and they came out in force. So I hope you enjoy this year's. So let's get started. Okay, guys. So before we get to my story and my items, I want to hand it over to our very first guest this year. You might know him as Joe or Turbo Joe. He does a great channel showing off some of the stuff in his collection, game reviews. He's done some great stuff with his turtles. He has these pet turtles, and he just switched over to this bigger tank, and it was so cool now to see that put into place. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to check that out. So enough of me rambling. What do you got for us this episode, Turbo Joe?
Hi, it's Turbo Joe here. For those of you that already know me.
Yo.
What's up?
And for those of you who have never seen me before.
Hello there.
I want to thank you, 8-Bit Glitch, for having me on the show. You know, last year I really enjoyed this series, so to be part of the show this year, you know, I was really excited. So I wanted to talk about when it comes to materialistic things, the two things that I'm most nostalgic for. You got to go back to Christmas for me, 1989. You know, my parents were split, so I would get separate gifts from the two of them, and there was never any communication between the two of them. You know, they just got me random gifts, and I had been begging my mother for a Sega Genesis, Christmas '89, and she acted like she wasn't going to get it for me. But you know, Christmas unfolds, and I go downstairs from my bedroom to see under the tree, open up my gifts, and Sega Genesis was there. My original Sega Genesis. You know, back then, you know, all the kids around my age, I think I was like 12 years old. You know, to a 12-year-old, these games looked just like, you know, what we were playing in the arcades. You know, comparing the NES, you know, at the time, playing games like this. And then seeing versions of that game on the Sega Genesis, it just, you know, to a 12-year-old, you know, you're thinking, I'll never play an NES game again, you know? So I wound up getting the Genesis, you know, packed with Altered Beast, and my mother had bought me Golden Axe. That's like the only game I cared about, you know, from the Sega Genesis library at the time. So my father mails me a game. So I get a game from my father, and look what he sends me. Super Mario 2. You know, I was so excited about the Sega Genesis. You know, I'm like, the hell with the Nintendo, man. I'm moving on. My father gets me this. So it took maybe, I think it was about 6 months or so, maybe even more, before I actually opened up the package and popped it into my Nintendo. Nintendo got no love for me for a while, you know. I had a Sega Genesis, you know. So my father was a little disconnected you know, with things that I wanted. But hey, you know, looking back, you know, I should have been more appreciative of this game. And it happens to be one of my, you know, favorite Mario games of all time. You know, it took me a while to beat it, but it was very, you know, satisfying when you beat Wart and you had that spectacular ending, you know. So yeah, when it comes to Christmas nostalgia, these two things are high on my list. And I want to wish you all, everyone, happy holidays and a happy new year. Peace.
Thanks a lot, Turbo Joe. I appreciate you contributing to this series. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to our viewers. The Genesis, man. Oh my God. If you saw my last year's series, you know I talked a lot about the Genesis and how it was like one of the first systems I kind of bought with my own money. So Genesis does hold a special spot in my heart. So thank you for sharing that. And Super Mario Bros. 2, I have to say I'm not the biggest fan of that one out of all the Mario games, but it definitely was a big impact on the gaming in NES days. And so it was interesting to see them kind of adapt an old Japanese game into a Mario game and how it got accepted in the United States. So thank you for sharing those two. Again, appreciate you being on here, and happy holidays to you and yours. So with that, let's hand it over to our next guest. He goes by the name of Captain Frugal. So please check out Captain Frugal's channel. He does some great unboxings, some great reviews. He talks about his pickups. It's just a great channel. He has a lot of great topics. So please check out Captain Frugal's channel. And with that, tell us what you got, Captain.
First, I'd like to say thank you to 8-Bit Glitch 79 for asking me to answer this question and participate in this video. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Wow, a time about a game, movie, or toy, or anything that makes me remember the good old days. Those were the good old days. Those were the good old days. The years go by, but the memories stay. And those were the good old days. Wow, you know, I have a lot of memories of some good old days, but one of my favorite ones, and the reason is because it still hits me today, is playing games with my older brother. My older brother and I, when we were younger, we didn't get along a lot. We fought like cats and dogs, but one thing we did get together over was video games, and we sat there and we beat Contra and Super Contra together. Now, that might not sound like much, but here's the thing. We didn't use the Contra codes. We sat there, we learned to get together, work together, because when you play as two players, those games are much harder as two players than one, because you have to learn to protect the other player, to watch each other's back, and not kill each other, especially on the jumping parts, the platforming parts, because it's easy to accidentally kill your teammate because you jump too far ahead. So yeah, we beat that. We beat the original Contra. We really sat there and put a lot of hours into it, so we got good. Didn't need any special codes. Liked it, enjoyed the time together so much we got Super C, the next Contra game on the NES, and we beat that too. And I always remember that. Those were great times of us getting together, and we still do that today. You know, unfortunately, we don't live as close together, so when we do get the opportunity to play some couch co-op, we definitely take it. We take those opportunities to play some classic NES games, or we love things like the Left 4 Dead series. Those are just wonderful to play as couch co-op, but when we can't do that, we put on the headsets and we play games together like Borderlands, you know, things like that, where we can just get together and play together and just have a blast. It's just something special about that. It's a bonding thing for us, because even if we don't do good on the game, maybe like Call of Duty or something, it's because we're too busy joking around and just having fun together, laughing and enjoying each other's company. And so I think that's going to be my memory, is doing that. And I got one other I'm just going to share briefly too. There was one time where I think we were playing Black Ops 2, no, Black Ops 1 I think it was, and we got myself and I think it was 11 other of my relatives together, and all of us played as a squad together on Black Ops. So it's just something about family getting together. We put those headsets on, you know, my nephew and all that. We're just having a good time. So couch co-op gaming and gaming together, because you know what? Gaming is a thing that can bring people together. We might not always agree on everything, might not agree on what's a good game and what's not, but what better thing to sit down on a couch during the holidays or any other season and play a game with friends and family, or if you can't, do it online so you have that ability to get together. So there we go. You know what? I miss my brother right now. I think it's time to hit him up and let's see if we can play a game together. Awesome. Once again, 8-Bit Glitch 79, thank you so much for having me on this channel and answering this question. And I can't wait to listen and hear the other people's responses as well.
Oh my God. You just hit my heart. If anybody knows anything about me, Contra is my #1 favorite video game of all time. So that is so cool that you picked that, and awesome. I just not enough I can say about Contra that hasn't already been said. Definitely a great choice and a great memory you got there. So with that, I guess we need to move on to my story. Well, for this episode, for the very first one, I picked Star Wars series. The first Star Wars trilogy, and specifically the original VHS releases. Now these were like the second release. The first releases were the big box type, and I remember renting those as a kid all the time. But those go for a lot of money if you can find them. So these are just as good. They're in a little rough shape, but these are like the OG release before all the special editions and all the ads. Now, if anybody who knows Star Wars knows, even these are not the theatrical releases, and even those big box ones I talked about aren't technically the theatrical releases. Every time these movies were put on some kind of media outside of the theater release, he always did some kind of tweak, whether it was just some sound or some coloration or anything like that. There really isn't a true theatrical release on any kind of media. There's been projects to try to replicate those, the despecialized, which I have those downloaded, that you can get. But as far as an official release, there really isn't a theatrical release, a true one. But these are as close as you're gonna get, basically. So I picked these not because I was just the biggest fan of Star Wars, but growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and we didn't even have a VCR in our house. So I wasn't able to see a lot of movies or things like that growing up, which might have been a good thing in a way. It allowed me to use my imagination a lot and to play with my toys a lot, rather than relying on TV to do those things for me. But every major holiday, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, pretty much any excuse or any holiday we would rent, my dad I should say, would rent a VCR for us for a week. And at that time there was like no limits, so we would rent like 20 movies or something crazy like that. And I swear, every time we went to the video store to rent the VCR, these 3 movies I got every single time. I don't know how many times I rented these movies. I would probably, if I had $1 for every time, I'd probably be not sitting here today. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, so I rented the heck out of these and watched them over and over again for that whole week that we would rent that VCR. I mean, there was other movies I'd picked out too and stuff, and I might even talk about those in a later episode of this series. But these for sure were right there at the top. They just blew me away. The story, the magic, if you will, behind it, the effects. It just brought this fantasy, like space odyssey reality, like imagination that I had to life in front of me, and it was just cinema at its best for me. So these might not be in the greatest shape, but I mean, I think that just kind of fits the tone of, you know, renting these, and they probably would have looked like this after a while after me renting them. So, but yeah, that's why I picked the original trilogy of Star Wars on VHS. I have these on my shelf, and when I look at them and see them every day when I walk by the shelf, it just brings back those memories of renting that VCR and going to the rental store and getting these every time. I couldn't leave the store unless we had these. So with that, guys, I like to conclude this first episode of the 12 Nostalgic Days of Christmas. I do want to give a heads up that in the next coming few episodes, not only are we going to have some guests, but they're going to kind of be some sponsored episodes. That's right, I got reached out by the guys at Video Games Monthly, and they had sent me a package for some giveaways. So we're going to be having some giveaways in some of the episodes coming up. So be sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you follow along with these episodes every day. And who knows, you might win a giveaway. So with that, guys, I want to thank you so much, and happy holidays. I'm glitching out.